So let's get into this. This is going to talk, supposedly this is going to talk about the changes to the character progression. So I'm excited to get into this because I have been spending so much time with Diablo 3 in the past couple days that this should all be fresh in my mind, and we should be able to really see where they've made the changes between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4.
Video games
Maybe you haven't signed up for anything. Yeah, there's a couple ways to get in free, or you can buy the game early, right?
are all about the hunt. It's not a question of destination or journey. It's a matter of understanding that the journey is quite literally what developers design their games around.
True.
The team behind Diablo 4 clearly understands this basic concept, as there are a number of new and
Dude, did you see that blood spell just like rolling down through the hallway? That looked so good. It does. It looks really good. I'm excited.
fresh systems in their upcoming game that will keep players constantly hunting for ways to push their power level forward. I'll admit.
So that was like that's one of the good looks at the new mount and the new mount system. So they are adding mounts to the game, and you'll be able to use mounts to get around because I guess the world's going to be a little bit bigger, so it's going to be pretty good. That's going to be an interesting thing. You're worried about your 2060 melting itself? It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Trying to wrap your head around all of these systems for the first time can be a bit of a bear, so
Am I clear my calendar? Yeah, I will, because I'm going to be putting in a lot of hours. I'll probably need to figure out exactly how I want to do it because RE4 is coming out around the same time, but I can be a couple days late on RE4. It's not going to matter. I think this playtest is going to be where it matters because the first weekend is 3 classes, and the second weekend they unlock the other 2.
let's take it slow and tackle one thing at a
So you almost have to play both.
time. Keep in mind some of the specific stats and numbers we talk.
Dude, thank you, Mishi. And maybe I missed that from earlier playtests, or from earlier videos that we've seen. But maybe I missed that. But that literally just broke from the 2D element down into 3D. Did you see that? Dude, it was like a Spartan kick and then a jump to a different level. That looked nutty. I didn't notice that in any of the times I've watched the footage prior. I must have just missed it.
Talk about might change come launch. Let's start with Renown, an account-wide progression system that not only impacts the character you're currently playing on, but benefits your entire roster of heroes. This system is designed with alts in mind and provides a direct way for players with ambitions to play multiple characters, a way to make that process a bit easier. Renown is a zone-wide reputation system. Each of the major zones have 5 levels of renown, and by completing different activities, a player can unlock specific account-wide rewards. Discovering areas within a zone rewards 2 renown, finding an altar of Lilith rewards 5 renown, unlocking a waypoint rewards 10 renown, completing side quests rewards 15 renown, completing dungeons rewards 20 renown, and liberating a stronghold rewards 50 renown.
Okay, that's a lot of information to take in. So if you need to see that, you can always go back and pause the video.
Each time you reach a new renown milestone, you'll receive.
It's so close to WoW, but with a twist. Yeah, I mean, fortunately for these guys, I mean, it's their parent company, right? It's all together. So they're definitely being smart and crowdsourcing information from everything they have and taking the things that people like from some games and moving them to others.
Receive 2 rewards.
BattleNet.
At each renown level, you'll be able to claim bonus XP and 10,000 gold per character. You'll also receive that account-wide reward without needing to claim anything. Level 1 requires 80 renown and rewards 1 skill point. Level 2 requires 180
1 potion charge. Interesting.
Renown and rewards 1 potion charge. Level 3 requires 300 renown and rewards 1 skill point. Level 4 requires 500 renown and rewards 1 skill point. And finally, level 5 requires 800 renown and rewards
the 4 Paragon points. I mean, that'll be nice for fresh characters, right? Because what you're looking at is fresh characters. Hopefully we get to see the skill tree and see how that works. The potion charge, I think we need to understand more about the potions. In one of my previous videos, I kind of made light about potions being consumable because I hadn't really been back in Diablo for a very long time, so I didn't really understand that Diablo uses the ARPG system with potions and not the RPG system. So I'm curious to see about the potion charges and how that works. Because I'm going to assume then that maybe when you make potions, you can slot them and then get charges, but we need to see.
Paragon points. The next aspect of progression worth talking about is tied to one of Diablo's most important systems, loot. This is called the Codex of Power, and while we briefly touched on it in our recent video talking about Diablo 4's various selling points to players, it's worth going deeper. The Codex is essentially a collection of most of the legendary aspects in the game. Legendary aspects are special powers that can be imbued on items to greatly influence how a player and their playstyle function in combat. To unlock each aspect, a player must first complete a specific dungeon for the first time. According to the developers, there are nearly 150 dungeons in the games.
That's awesome.
So, putting 2 and 2 together, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to collect. Aspects fall into a few different categories, and while some are generic and can be applied to any class, there are also class-specific aspects that are tailor-made to enhance the performance of certain class abilities. Aspect categories break down into defensive, offensive, resource, utility, and mobility. The real beauty of this system is its flexibility. Say you find a rare weapon out in the world. The stats are perfect, but you want to enhance it with a specific legendary aspect. You can take that to a vendor called the Occultist, enhance it with an aspect, thus transforming that item into a brand new legendary tailor-made for your playstyle.
Right, so it's like the cube in Diablo 3, except instead of it staying a cube power and you can only have 3, you can then take those powers and re-imbue them onto a weapon or some type of accessory, which is nice.
Likewise, you can take an existing legendary weapon and swap out the unique aspect, replacing it with another aspect of your choosing. Keep in mind there are 2 types of aspects.
Right, this is the important part.
Codec aspects, which can be applied indefinitely to items, and extracted aspects, which are ripped from pieces of gear.
Thank you for the like, Sam.
And are consumed after use. It's also important to note that the process of doing all of this is called imbuing and can only be done once per item. Now, there is a catch.
It's interesting that it can only be done once per item. That actually I don't like, but it makes sense. Yeah, because supposedly if you rip the stats off of an item, the stats you rip off of an item can be higher stat than the stuff that comes out of the Codex. The Codex is always the lowest level of that item, and things that you can pull off of items and then store and then put on other items can be a lot higher value.
This system is incredibly powerful, but without some limitations, it would eventually completely negate the magic of searching for that perfect piece of loot. The 2 restrictions are individual effects from a legendary aspect will always have the lowest possible rolls, and not all legendary aspects are available through the Codex of Power.
So I jumped the gun on it, but yeah, it's the same info.
With all that in mind, I think it's worth looking at a few examples of aspects you can unlock with the Codex of Power system. Rapid aspect is a general aspect that increases the attack speed of your basic skills by 23%. Aspect of Might, another general aspect, gives your basic skills 25% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Now, those might seem a little bland, and I'd agree, which is why you'll also want to hunt down the class-specific aspects like Brawler's aspect, a barbarian aspect that explodes enemies if they're killed within 2 seconds of being damaged by a kick or charge, dealing damage to enemies nearby. Or Unyielding Command, a necromancer aspect that grants your minions plus 70% attack speed and 90% damage reduction while Army of the Dead is active. If it wasn't clear before, hopefully it is now. The Codex of Power is a central pillar of progression in the game, but it's merely a piece of the overall build crafting within Diablo.
Yeah, so the Codex of Power is pretty much not all, but most of all of the aspects that you can get in the game that you can use to modify your weapons to change the uniqueness, right? Like the items you would find on your legendary weapons that give them their unique flair. And anytime you pull from the Codex, it's always going to be the lowest version of that particular skill or that particular aspect. If you find a better version, say it's like a relic, right? Like a super high tier legendary or like an ancient or a relic ancient or something like that, and you pull the aspect off of it, and it's way better than anything else, then that one will always supersede the one that's in the Codex. It'll always be better. So you would want to use that one and destroy that weapon to get it versus using the one out of your Codex.
4.
It's mainly min-max, but in the beginning of the game or starting a new character, you can use whatever, as long as you unlock it from doing the dungeons.
If we change gears a bit, there are 2 additional progression systems
This I want to see.
we need to break down. The first being skill trees. It's no secret that ARPGs are built on outfitting your hero with a wide array of skills that are then augmented, usually via a skill tree. In Diablo 4, this system has gone through a number of iterations since development started, but the team has seemingly landed on a traditional hub-and-spoke model. As players level up and also gain renown, they'll earn skill points and have the ability to place those points in their specific class tree. Players will gain a skill point up until level 50, at which point the Paragon system opens up.
Right.
Add on to that the 15 skill points players can obtain by leveling up renown in each of the 5 major zones, and you're looking at a total of around 64 skill points. Keep in mind, this is all subject to change based on how the team awards points. The tree itself is rather easy to understand once you get a hold of a few basic tenets. The larger squares are your skills. By allocating a point in a skill, you're not only unlocking the ability, but also can further upgrade it by allocating additional points. Off of each skill is a series of smaller nodes, and these are direct improvements to the skill they're attached to. You'll notice that these smaller nodes branch into 2 paths. Players will have to choose which side of the upgrade path they want to go down, as they'll not be able to allocate points into every skill minor upgrade.
So it sounds like you won't. Remake demo is out. You can download it right now. It's 10 gigs. Is it, Zinky? We'll have to check it out this weekend. I heard they fixed the rain bug, right? I wonder if it's going to be the chapter 4. I wonder if it's going to be the chapter 4, because that's what they showed off in like all their footage. So maybe it's going to be the chapter 4 they let everybody get a hold of. Do you know what I mean? I'll definitely have to download it and get it going this week. But for the skill tree here, it does suck that you only get 64 points and you can't like infinitely level the Paragon system, at least it sounds like, to max your entire tree out. Hopefully they're like respecing is something that is like unlimited, right? Like hopefully you can unlimited respec, and hopefully you can save different specs. Those are going to be the big ones. Can you unlimitedly respec, and can you save multiple specs? Kind of like you can do on World of Warcraft now, where you can just like save different tabs or whatever. So hopefully you can change and save specs.
Hopefully this means making those decisions, and the upgrades in turn will provide substantial changes to the functionality of an ability, which should make build crafting a bit more unique. According to the developers, the skill tree will only be filled out about 30 to 40% by the time you have access to all of your skill points.
Wow.
To me, this is fantastic, as it solves for one of the biggest issues in ARPGs, build diversity. And since Diablo 4 is putting so much stock in player progression via skills and the Paragon system, that means players will have more direct control over their playstyle, and it won't be completely dictated by items.
What it means is everybody's going to go to Wowhead, and everybody's going to find what is like the best build for solo or the best build for like running rifts, and they're just going to copy pasta it. Like, I mean, yeah, it's going to be great for a lot of people to like do their own build crafting and stuff, but it's literally just going to be like copy pasta off of Wowhead.
It's worth pointing out that players can respec at any time, either by tweaking individual
There we go. So there's your refund.
nodes or refunding all points and starting over. There is a cost associated with changing around your skill tree, and according to one developer,
Well, we never did. I did that every time.
at some point it'll be easier to re-level a character than continue to respec them. That's a bit concerning, but could just be an embellishment for dramatic effect. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, hopefully it's not one of those things where you can't just infinitely respec, or to where you have to have like 4 different barbarians. That would be, I mean, it would be good for like replayability for the game, but it would be very bad for like people who don't have the time to know life it. You know what I mean? And you had to pay to fix it. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Finally, there is the
I feel like we need to get in and see it though. I definitely feel like we need to see it before we make a final, you know what I mean?
Paragon system, and this system further allows for that sense of individual experimentation when it comes to build crafting. If the skill tree was the foundation, the Paragon system is everything else, providing you with a primary way to keep furthering your power level. You won't be unlocking additional
God damn, look how big that fucking Paragon board is.
abilities with this system, rather amplifying the build you created with the skill tree and pushing it to its furthest possible limit. Once you reach level 50, the first Paragon board opens up.
The first Paragon board?
From level 50 onward, you'll receive 1 Paragon point every 1/4 level, totaling 4 points per level. Starting at the center of the board, working outwards, you'll be able to place 1 point on the board so long as the tiles you're allocating points into are connected to that central tile. There are 4 types of tiles on a Paragon board. Common tile.
Calm down, Judge. You fall in love with D4 so fast. I mean, I like it because there's a lot to do.
Give you a passive stat boost. Magic tiles provide a slightly better, more diverse bonus. Rare tiles are really transformative, influencing your build in a substantial
Yellow, all right.
way. These will always have some sort of stat prerequisite before becoming active. And then there are legendary tiles. There is one per board, and they're always located at the center of the board. As you might expect, these offer the best bonuses. As you fill out your Paragon board, you can expand towards the edge and a special gate tile. These gates will allow you to expand onto a new board, and this is the secret to accessing legendary tiles. Before placing that new board, you will have the opportunity to preview and rotate the new board for better optimization.
That's cool that you can rotate the board so you can put the tiles that you actively want closer to the gate you're coming out of. That's a I know it doesn't sound like very much, but that's actually a really cool system. I'm sure the board design is made in a way that it's not going to be like too overpowered. But this will definitely let you kind of like pick what you want.
We know that the max level in Diablo 4 is 100. If we do some quick math, level 50 to 100 will net players 200 Paragon points. Plus, you'll receive an additional 20 by capping Renown in each of the 5 major zones, giving you a total of 220 Paragon points. There's one more thing to consider, and that's how glyphs factor into the
Now, so that's it though? Like there's not unlimited Paragon points?
Equation. Glyphs are found throughout Sanctuary and come in different varieties. When socketed into their special tiles, they look at the surrounding tiles and provide different bonuses based on how many of those tiles you have points allocated into.
Interesting.
For example, this rare exploit glyph here has a medium radius size, grants 40.5% bonus to all nodes within range, and grants a unique buff. For every 10 dexterity purchased within the radius, you deal 13.5 increased damage to vulnerable targets.
That's interesting.
So as you can see, it's not just about the tiles, it's about glyphs as well, and you can dramatically impact a character's power if you're strategic about what glyph you use and how to activate them on the Paragon board.
I mean, that's a lot of good information.
If you can,
I'm pretty excited for the Paragon board. I think the Paragon board is going to be a nice way. My big thing is just going to be how limiting is everything, how hard is it to roll back changes, how much does it cost? Those are the questions.
Wrap your head around these aspects of Diablo 4's progression, then you'll be in great shape come launch on June 6. With the development team approaching Diablo as a live service, I have no doubt additional systems will eventually be added into the mix, which is why understanding these core progression systems are so important.
The game looks so good. Yeah, with them taking this as like a live service game and really pushing it in that direction, I think hopefully there's going to be a lot of support for it, and it's going to make it a game that is easier to kind of like be a part of for a long time.
Important. Anyways, friends, this is just our first foray into Diablo 4. We know you guys come to check out the channel.
The game looks good. The game looks good. There was a lot of really good information in there about the progression system. The Paragon system looks interesting in a nice sort of way. I like that the board rotates. That's only going to matter if you can access multiple boards and allow you to like take your Paragon, you know, because like in current Diablo, you can go really far with it. So I'm curious about that. And then the skill trees, I'm a little disappointed that you only get 64 and it's going to cost a respec. And they're saying that it'll be easier to just level up multiples of the same type of character than it would be to just respec your character over and over again, because then you got like gear transfer and all sorts of other issues. So there was definitely some bad information in here, but there was definitely a lot of good information. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I can't wait to get into the beta coming up here soon. So until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your day.